in public buildings, particularly assembly type buildings, you're going to find exit signs and emergency lights that are going to lead you to your exit pathway to get out of the building in case of emergencies. So some of the things we're looking at here is, number one, is it functioning and lit up with the building power as it is now? Also, is it indicating any needed direction of travel? So you'll notice here it does have a left arrow pointing out here to let you know that that is the direction to reach your exit to get out of the building. The second thing that we look at here as well is to make sure that in the event of a power loss, we want the exit signs and emergency lights to still function. So these all have batteries inside that are designed to run the lights for a minimum of 90 minutes. And so we test those on a regular basis as well. So when I come through and do my inspections, I will locate your test button. It's usually either on the bottom or on the side, and you'll see a little LED light next to it. If you press and hold that button, you'll see that the lights on the side turn on, that's the exit sign flashed, and that is signifying that it switched from the building power to the battery backups. I usually hold it for a few seconds just to make sure that it stays lit and doesn't immediately dim out. That gives an initial indicator that the batteries are still good. But the other way to do that is at least once a year, go through and take a look at all of your exit signs and emergency lights, make sure that they're functioning on building power, then go find your breaker panel that powers those and turn that power off. Let it run for 90 minutes, and then go back and make sure that at the end of 90 minutes that they're all still working on the battery backup. Some companies will contract that with a provider to do that for them, or you can do that on your own. Either way, you just make a log or some sort of register that you can show that, hey, once a year I did check all my exit signs and emergency lights and they were all functional. All right, so for a space like this, one of the things we're looking at is to make sure that there's no obstructed access as far as people trying to exit the building in case of emergency. So we're looking for clear aisleways, easy to get to the exits if need be. And again, we're going to look to make sure that you have appropriate exit signage, fire protection systems in place, as well as emergency lighting, things of that sort. So here's another example. We have exit signs here that lets your visitors in the theater know that this is one way to get to an exit, and they're able to see that and continue out until they get to the front. In this little hallway here, there's another exit sign that's telling you that that's the direction. We'll come down this way. We'll take a look at a few of our exits as well on the front. Okay. One of the things that we try to encourage people to be aware of is that no matter what room you're in and what kind of place, you may or may not have multiple exits available to you. And so this is a good opportunity to kind of point some of those out. Just because we always come in one particular door to a restaurant or a theater doesn't mean that is our best way out in case of emergency. So if you'll notice in here, you've got exits to the back, one on each side, as well as you have a marked exit down at the front. Again, we can test our exit signs. This one here is a good example of one that needs a battery replaced. So the test button's here on the bottom. You see that it's lit on the building power. When I press and hold the button here on the bottom, it goes out and doesn't turn back on. So this exit way here leads us to a door that gets outside. One of the things that we will see in these types of situations as well is going to be pull stations if your building has a fire alarm system. So this is one way for us to, if we see a fire early on in the development stages, it hasn't gotten big enough to set off any smoke detectors or the sprinkler system, we'd be able to manually activate the fire alarm by using one of these devices here. And you'll find that typically within 5 feet or so of an exit door going outside the building. Here again is another exit. You'll see in this door here, because of the type of occupancy we have here being assembly, it is a panic hardware or crash bar type exit. It allows for free egress from the building at all times in case of emergency. So you just simply push the bar and you can go right outside. Above it, again, you have exit signs here. And then also here, you also have another fire extinguisher. So sometimes you will find those to be contained inside of wall cabinets, and that is perfectly fine. We want to make sure that, again, that our stairways and things like that are accessible, protected as they need to be. For people that are sitting in balcony seating, or on a normal business, they might just be in an upstairs office, things like that. We want to make sure that those have good access. So we'll head on upstairs and take a look at the balcony. As far as the balcony over here, the additional things that we're looking at is, again, our exit signs. Make sure they're present, marking the direction to our exits. You'll see we have some lighting fixtures that are attached to the beams here on the top, as well as there's one on the wall and a stairwell down here at the landing. So that lights the entire egress pathway in case of power failure. We can test these emergency lights. This particular model has a button on the bottom, and I can press that button and see that it activates the light. The same one, the one on the back side, There's that there. Occasionally, you'll see they'll have different lighting, and you'll just have to read the instructions on the ones that you have. Sometimes they have a green light in them to let you know that they're self-testing and that they're good. Sometimes they may have a red light. So if you notice, these are flashing green currently, and they'll go off here in a moment, but you have some down here that are flashing red. So it can be simply that they have activated at some point and it's telling you that, or it can be telling you that they're already detecting a battery problem inside. So press it once, it reset this particular light to green, press it again, and now it's activating the emergency light test. Same thing with all the rest of these. With that, the other option, if you're familiar with the building's electrical system, would be if you can identify the circuit breaker that all of your emergency lighting exit signs are tied to. You can do the same thing there, go turn the breakers off there, and that'll give you a chance to test all the lights at one time. Okay, so another thing we want to look at on assembly type occupancies and large occupancies is evacuation routes. So we talked earlier about having exit signs and lighting, but there's also a reason to have the actual posted evacuation routes in conspicuous places along the pathway. Or if you're in a large office or conference room, being able to post it by the door that leads out towards the exit. And so you would typically have a little map drawn up, a floor plan of your building, and a highlighted route showing this is where you are and this is your primary route to get to an exit. And you would post that here by the doorway as you follow the pathway to get out. Now, one thing I do want to point out to everybody is that not every business meets the same requirements in regards to fire and life safety codes. So some things that you may have seen in our video series now that we've called out in a facility like a theater or restaurant may not apply to a small antique shop, for example, or a smaller restaurant. The general things that apply pretty well everywhere is your address numbering, access to the buildings, keys, things like that. And then fire extinguishers are required in all occupancies, no smoking signs, exit signage is required in the vast majority of occupancies, unless it's a very small business with only one door in and out of the building, then sometimes those are not required there. But outside of that, most everything else will be pretty well across the board, with the exception of things like the fire sprinklers and alarms and things like that.